Welcome back to episode 4 of Chewin The Fat podcast. This week we have Luke Fulcher, longtime friend of me and Elijah's. Once upon a time was our teacher. You know, amazing man of God, loves Jesus, loves, basketball, boxing. He's the main man. He's the most intelligent man I've ever met in my life. Welcome, Luke.
Well, my God, thank you.
This week we also have Cohen and Elijah.
What's up,
What's
fellas?
up?
We're back at it.
Yep. This week we're just gonna be shooting the breeze on this one. We're just
Chewing the fat, as
Chewing-
some would say.
Yeah, some would say, and gonna be asking Mr. Fulcher here a couple questions. Maybe we'll get there, and just ramble on. So
I'm fired up. I know we wanted to do this with you last week. Y'all probably saw on the socials that we had to cancel last week's episode. It was a wild week for us over at the homestead.
yeah,
We had 5 services.
yeah.
Well, if you count the prayer, it's 6, right?
yeah.
That's true. We did. So we had a service.
Almost
We had a
every
service
day.
every day and 2 on one day.
Yeah.
So of that week, of
Yeah.
that 5 day. But you had mentioned to me you had some stuff you were fired up to talk about.
That's right. I'm ready. I've listened to the first couple episodes, and I do have to say I have found a new life goal, which is I want to find someone who loves me as much as y'all love gas station food. Like I have a feeling you're spending too much of your life in truck stops.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better in crack houses, so you know it could be worse. But I will say though, you were speaking my language with the chicken bacon ranch grilled cheese.
I do need to
Yeah.
give you credit. You told me about
Really?
that.
I'm the one who turned
We
on
were
that.
on, I didn't realize that until we started mentioning having you on. And I started going back. I was like, man, what are we going to talk about? Like, we could talk about sports. We could talk about music. And then I was like, oh, my gosh, we were on the way to see Billy Strings in Huntsville.
That's right.
And we stopped at a very crappy truck stop. And you got some sort of chicken bacon ranch something. And you were like, you got to go try the grilled cheese at QT.
You're right. I vaguely remember that now.
Yeah. It's that was an amazing concert.
Oh my God, that was spectacular.
That was the greatest musical performance I've ever seen. Like,
I was thinking it might have been mine too. Honestly,
Wow.
like it's pretty close to it.
that's high praise.
It's at least top 3.
Yeah. 'Cause
Golly.
you've been to a lot, haven't you, Mr. Fulcher?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've probably I would usually average probably 10 shows a year. I would think.
Wow.
For a while, and then I'm
Yeah.
usually not going to see like big ticket
Right,
stadium
right.
shows. I kind of like more theater level stuff most of the
Mhm.
time, stylistically anyway.
Yeah.
At least until recently. Unfortunately, people are starting to like good music lately.
Yeah.
And I don't like
Sure.
it because like it used to be. I'll tell y'all the story. I saw Chris Stapleton 3 weeks after Traveler came out at a 500 person theater in Charlottesville, Virginia for $25 and stood at the rail.
Man.
Like could have reached over and touched it. And what was crazy about it was like the album had only been out for like 3 weeks and the crowd sang along with every single word, which meant that it had to have been on repeat for every single moment of 3 weeks, but everyone did. And I remember like at one point he looked over at his wife Morgan who sings with him and they like looked at each other while the crowd was singing along with something like, and I saw them exchange this glance like, oh my God, I think we're going to make it. And it was like crazy. Of course, now I'll never be able to see him again because it's like $180 to sneeze in the parking lot. I don't know.
So were you already a fan of him from the Steel Drivers?
So, I found a review. I had heard the Steel Drivers once and didn't really pursue it. And then for whatever reason, but like I knew they existed. But then like I had a friend who was a Steel Drivers fan. And he was like, hey, you got to check this guy out. And then I saw there's a website called Saving Country Music that is amazing because I've discovered, like, they introduced me to Sturgill and Childers and Turnpike when they were all. So I think I saw him there on something. And then I think I probably downloaded Traveler like maybe the weekend it came out, I think. And then, after that, he went on the award show and then, like, everybody liked him all of a sudden, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's one of those people that, like, everybody's like, we made the right guy famous,
Right.
he's a generational vocal
Yeah,
talent
he
for
is.
sure. Yep. So that was, I don't know how, You were talking about the gas stations. I gave you credit for putting me on.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you had noticed in the past episodes that you wanted to hit on?
I mean, I don't know. I can go wherever we want to go.
Joan, do you have some stuff? Did you prep anything?
No, I didn't prep.
Yeah, I didn't think we would need it.
No, I just went in there knowing that Fulcher's just been a dear friend.
You had texted me right around the time the podcast came out, and you had mentioned something. Okay, we were talking about the chicken bacon ranch, and then you talked about wanting to tell the New York story.
I did volunteer to tell the New York story.
We consider this podcast PG-13.
Okay.
So you can.
So I can tell the story.
Yeah, you can tell the story. You don't have to tell the Legacy Academy version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I heard you tell it in Legacy, I was like, this seems a little more edited than the King Academy version, even.
Yes.
Because most of the heathens there didn't care.
Probably, yeah, at age, I guess I had younger.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Kids there. But at King, I would always like make them wait till they were at a certain grade, or at least make them beg a while before I would tell them. So, the New York story, which is one of the greatest stories that's ever happened to any human being ever, and I'm proud to have been a part of it. So, once upon a time, I was serving as a youth leader at a church in Virginia, and we went on a missions trip to New York City. And it was with a ministry that does, they do homeless outreach and a whole bunch of other things or whatever. And so we were just going in there to kind of plug into their outreach programs that week or whatever. And so we went up there. The plan was basically to have a tourism day first, like the first day, and kind of let everyone recover from the trip, go see New York a little bit, and then we were going to get to work the second day. So we have anything that can go wrong on the first day does go wrong with the tours. So, we got there, and the subway didn't want to take the church's credit card, and we had to find a way to buy subway tickets for, I can't remember exactly how many kids it was. It was probably close. How many was it? It was at least a dozen, and then about almost as many adults, so maybe it was even 15 kids or something. I don't know. So we have to go figure out all that stuff out, and then we had this idea we were going to go see the Statue of Liberty. So we get there and we walk to the window to buy the tickets, and you have to buy the tickets at this other place across town. So then we've got to go find. It's just all these little things are going wrong. We're still having a good time because we're a bunch of country bumpkins from Farmville, Virginia, and we're seeing New York for the first time.
Yeah,
I saw Times Square and had agoraphobia or something. I was like, this is too much. The only experience I ever had like it was the first time I went into a Buc-ee's. I was like, this is just too much happening. I don't like this at any level. I just can't do it. Can't be done. So anyway, we have all this stuff go wrong, and the plan had been that we were going to go to the observatory deck that you see in the movies at the Empire State Building, where everyone looks over the city, and we were going to go watch it at sunset, right? Which sounds like a good plan, but we were running a little late anyway. And what we also didn't realize that nobody, I guess, told us is that we didn't realize that when you go to the Empire State Building, at least back then, and this has been 10, 12 years now, I don't know if it's the same way, but they run it like one of those maze lines at Disney World where you you go through and then you go to an elevator and it puts you to another elevator where you go through another maze line that puts you on another elevator. It literally took us almost 2 hours to get to that observatory deck. Yeah.
That's how it is at the Sears Tower in Chicago, or you have to do just zigzag to get to an elevator. Me and my dad went up there one time. It was fire.
Yeah, and so we took all this time to get up there. By the time we get up there, it was dark, which I actually preferred because I kind of like looking over the cityscape and all the lights and all. It's
for sure. Yeah.
So I actually think that worked out. But the problem with that is that our hotel was in Yonkers, which is like a suburb or a small city on the other side of the city. So we stayed a little out of the city. So we had a shuttle from the hotel that was supposed to come pick us up. Well, we're going to miss our shuttle because we're stuck in line. And then on top of that, we had really bad cell signal at the time. And I should mention, too, not only did it take you 2 hours to go up, it took you almost an hour to go back down because you kind of had to go through the same process. If the terrorists ever hit them, we're toast. No one's getting out. I hope I don't give anybody any ideas, but, it's just, my God. So Oh, sorry, everybody. Sorry. All right, so so we wind up missing our shuttle, and then we end up. So we finally get the hotel on the phone. We negotiate another place that they're supposed to pick us up, and then lo and behold, we take the wrong subway. Oh, you ain't ready. Oh, son, you ain't ready. So we take the wrong
Have y'all heard this
subway.
story before?
Yes.
So we take the wrong subway, and we end up in the Bronx at like 11 o'clock when we all get there with the youth group, mind you. You know, I would be kind of looking over my shoulder if I was by myself, but we've got like kids that we're supposed to be watching. So we're stranded in the Bronx at a street called Jerome Street. And I told this story to someone who lived in New York once, and I said Jerome Street, and she audibly gasped. And I said, oh, well, that confirms my suspicions. I sort of knew that was supposed to be the reaction. Yeah. So we get there, and and now we're waiting on the shuttle to get us. We know it's going to be a while because it's like a 45-minute drive. So we're stuck there for almost an hour if everything's perfect, traffic and everything, and it never is. So to set the stage, when you come off the subway station, there's like the world's shadiest bus stop. Pretty sure I saw a deal or two go down while we were there. We've got this flagpole that had like a big circular base that a lot of the kids were like sitting around. You had an Irish pub over here, and then you had a wall that had a war memorial that one of the people in the crowd said, why do all the soldiers in the Veterans Memorial look like child soldiers from Africa? Because they all look like 12-year-old black kids with like the Rambo thing where like the bullets are like on the like on a belt over their shoulder, I'm like, what? And so this is the neighborhood that we're in, and all the adults are sitting around quietly freaking out while trying to not tip the kids off that they should also be freaking out if they knew what they were talking about. So the kids were under control. They were doing okay, but we were like, oh, boy, they better not know where we are, Yeah. So we're all just kind of sitting there quietly stressing out. And then the plan that we hatched was that we were going to put all the kids on the first bus back to the hotel. And then all the grown-ups would wait. The problem was when they got there was literally one too many kids to do the plan. And so like we were like begging, pleading. The guy's like, man, I'm sorry, I can't do it. If they catch me overloaded, I lose my license. It's my career. I can't do it. Yeah. So we're like, fine, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll put all the women on the van, send them back, and the guys will stay. So we know it's 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. The boys, we're staying an extra hour and a half on Jerome Street. It was 11 o'clock or so when we got there.
Man, that is crazy.
All right, so now we're there, and I can't remember how much time passed between when the women left and when our next character emerges in the story. But not long thereafter, an Irishman comes stumbling out of this pub. And when I say an Irishman, I don't mean he had red hair. I mean he had the brogue. Like he talked like he was like from one of the movies or something, And he begins to make a conversation with it. I should say before I go anywhere that he's wearing a green homemade New York Yankees cap, spray painted with a homemade Yankees logo and a bunch of other symbols on the side of the hat or slogans, which we will get to in due time.
Yep.
So he walks up to us and begins to talk. And in this particular conversation, I heard more F words than I have ever in any given year of my life up to this point. So if you hear me leave a strategic pause, you may insert a word of your choice, but there's only one correct answer. And so the guy walks up to us and he says, "Well, what the? I've never seen so many white people sitting around this flag in my whole life. What is this?"
That's crazy.
So immediately all the kids are like, "Oh God, who's this crazy guy?" I'm supposed to be scared. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling like we're getting a story here, boys. So so everyone's like, "We're here on a mission trip. We love Jesus." And he's like, "A mission trip? What is this? One of those things that you do and you get college credit for? Like you go hand a couple people some food and they give you college credits? Is that this kind of?" Like, no, sir, we're just here to help people. He's like, really, just here to help? Well, that's really respectable. It's really respectable. So now he starts to talk, and he starts to ask us our names. And so I had a friend there by the name of Chris, who was one of those guys. He's red-haired, very all about being Irish. He actually, they did something and found out he's actually Scottish. It kind of threw his whole vibe off now. But he was trying to like advertise how Irish he was by introducing himself as Christopher, which I've never heard him call himself. But you have to call attention to the Irishness, right? So he's like, I'm Christopher, and he says, Christopher, do you know what that means? You know what that name means? He said, it means Christ bearer. He says, you're right, it does. This guy knows what he's talking about. Well, now he wants to really talk to us. So he starts talking, and he starts into this rant. He says, you know what the problem with this city is? He says, it's that now this is probably, for context, this is probably 2011, I think, is when this happened. He said, you know what the problem with this city is? He says, the Matrix has started, and I'm the only one who knows about it. That's what the problem is. Everyone's plugged in. I don't even know what he'd say about today, but everyone's plugged in. They got their iPods and their iPhones and their headphones. They're looking no one knows anybody. No one's saying hi to anyone. Everyone's moving. We're in a big machine. We're in a machine, and I'm the only one who knows it. It says, some people think I'm crazy. I think I'm the only sane person left in this whole city. And when he said that, I began to be somewhat concerned, and I said, perhaps if he's the only sane one left, we might have some troubles. So
he might have been onto something, though.
No, he was. I actually agree with. I see where he's coming from. But then he goes on another rant about The Matrix while he's talking about it. He says, yeah, The Matrix, it's the best movie ever, even though they had Keanu Reeves, who's the worst actor who's ever lived. Even he couldn't that movie up. So he goes on this big rant about The Matrix, and then he starts pointing out some of the symbols and slogans on his cap. And one of them was IRA, which, if you're not familiar with that, is the Irish Republican Army, which was an Irish independence movement that resorted to terrorisms and bombing. And so we're talking about an actual, literal, in-the-flesh terrorist sympathizer, our friend here. And
Wow. That's crazy.
So he points out IRA, and he's just talking about the Irish Republican Army, or whatever. And then he points to the other side of the cap, and he says, and he had a slogan written. It said FTQ. He says, would you like to know what that stands for? He's like, well, sure. It says, it means the Queen. That's what it means. He says, I don't know why the IRA's gone soft. They should have shot that B word the last time she came to Belfast.
That's crazy.
So then he says, he points over to the other side of the cap, and on the other side of the cap was written the letters FBR. And he says, well, would you like to know what that stands for? I was like, well, sure. He says, it stands for the Boston Red Sox. That's what it stands for.
That's fire.
New York Yankees forever.
Yeah.
He says, that's right, the Yankees, not the Yankees, which all the Puerto Ricans call them, the New York Yankees. It's the New York Yankees.
That's crazy.
Puerto Ricans. And then he says, you want to know where my daughter went? He said, my daughter went to Yale. You know where the Puerto Ricans say she went? Jail. Yale, not jail. Puerto Ricans.
Dang.
I forgot to add at some point that we asked him his name, and he said his name was Jerome or Joram, which is weird because we were on Jerome Street, and I still don't know if did we meet Jerome on Jerome Street, or did he give us the street as his name? I don't.
No,
it's a mystery.
Yeah.
I
He
don't
might
know.
not have known his name.
It's not out of the question.
sounds like quite a story.
Oh, the best part is yet to come, my friend.
There's more.
Oh, there's another layer.
There's more.
Oh, no.
Well, there's more where that could. So he does the Red Sox rant, he does the IRA rant, and then I don't remember exactly how long the conversation was because it was so surreal that it felt like an eternity. But it might have been 15 minutes. I don't know. But just when I think this conversation can get no weirder, when this encounter can get no more spectacular, I swear to God, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Out of the alley at 1 a.m. in the Bronx emerges a Pakistani man with a cricket paddle. I swear. He says, anyone for cricket? And this Irishman and this Pakistani start playing cricket on the street.
Wow.
And they're like a jumping. This is the most New York thing that has ever happened, right? He starts like jumping into the street after balls or whatever.
Yeah,
You're jumping in front of taxi cabs. Like, what are you doing?
that's
and,
crazy.
And I don't know how many pitches they threw, but after so many of them, one of them got, I don't know if he struck out or if they lost the ball or whatever, but the dude walks out and does an up yours sign and says, who cares? Ireland beat Afghanistan in the World Cup anyway. Besides, cricket, it's a bloody English game created by bloody Englishmen.
This guy really didn't like the English.
He's not a fan of the English at any level.
Wow.
So about that time, the shuttle finally arrives from the hotel, and the youth pastor who has been over here, I've been sitting here grinning, laughing my face off the whole time. The youth pastor is sitting there, red as a beet, just sweating, sweating like drops of blood. All of a sudden the youth pastor grabs the kids by the scruff of their neck and throws them into the shuttle as quick as possible. Physically just tossed them. We got the heck out of there. Finally got to sleep at like 3 a.m. or something.
Oh my god!
Had to go to work at like 6 the next morning or something.
Yes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But I got my money's worth on the trip on the first night.
I was about to say
about
that'd be
that's-
worth it.
It's a heck of a time.
Did I tell the story on the podcast about that time me and Ethan went to talk to the homeless guy like beside Walmart?
You've told. I've heard it, but you
I've
haven't
heard it.
told the
I don't think
podcast,
you've told
I
it
don't
though.
We drive by and there's this guy out there and he had soccer cleats on and Ethan like loves soccer. He was like, I feel like this is a sign. Like I need to go talk to him. And I was like, for sure. We went and talked to him. He had food. So I was like, hey, can we get you anything? He was like, I would love a Gatorade. So I was like, this seems fair. Like he didn't ask me to buy him alcohol or cigarettes. He seemed like something you would actually need, some electrolytes. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go buy you a Gatorade. Come back out. And I'm like, hey, man, you know what? Tell me your story. He told me an hour long just cluster bang of everything. I mean, at one point he was his daughter's son. His mom and him are the same age. His kid that's his mom is 1 year older than him. And multiple members of his family are buried in his front yard.
Yeah, that's pretty wicked stuff.
He also told me that all the food that we're eating, it's all just like blood and organs that the government wants us to eat that they're disguising as mac and cheese.
Wow.
And then, as I'm having this conversation, what you said reminded me of this. I'm talking to this guy in the Walmart parking lot, and I'm like, literally don't even realize this is happening. This lady comes out from behind this building we're standing next to with an iguana on her neck. and just says hey to the guy, which calls him by a name which wasn't the name he gave us.
Yeah.
And just keeps walking. And I'm like, I didn't even laugh. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
That might be the only iguana in Tillman's Corner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it probably is.
it was wild.
Wow.
So it was
Tillman's Corner's wild though.
Tillman's Corner is one of the most interesting places I've ever
For
been.
sure.
Dude, one time, it was after a Friday night service. I was pulling in to get some Panda Express before heading home, and I saw these two homeless, like I guess it was a couple, I don't really know. They were dragging like those kid wagons, like the red wagons. Each of them had one of those, and each of the wagons had 2 dogs on the wagons, and they were just dragging it. And I was like, I think I was on the phone, and I was like, like, where are they taking those dogs? Like, where are they going, bruh?
I heard a story somebody was telling me that one of their friends, like, there was a homeless guy in Tillman's Corner Starbucks, and they bought him some food and a drink and asked him to sit and like chat. And he was like, I live behind Lowe's, which is pretty common. Like there's like a community back there. And he was like, UFOs land back there like all the time. And I think it was a girl that was talking to him. I forgot who. I could find out, but she was like, are you like seriously? Like, he's like, oh yeah, they land back there all the time behind Lowe's. And she was like, have you seen him? He's like, no, I hadn't seen him, but my dog's been freaking out, and I know that he knows.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Those homeless people in Tillman's Corner love their dogs, bruh. Their dogs.
Have you had any wild Tillman's Corner experiences?
I I haven't at Tillman's Corner. I will say I have learned that the homeless people of Mobile can be a little aggressive.
Yeah.
Really?
I remember like the first week I was here, like I went downtown like on Dolphin Street to get something to eat, and I remember like, guy asked for something. And I really did. I reached into my wallet to go find something, and I didn't have any cash. And he's like points out, there's ATM over there. Like directs me to the ATM. I'm
That's
like, oh my
great.
God,
Wow.
this guy knows the lay of the land.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's like, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Go withdraw $20.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't gonna give you $20.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I didn't even think about that. It was like, oh yeah, it's okay. That's a little more than I was planning
I
on
was
being
probably gonna
generous.
throw you a 5 if
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You got any? What's your favorite spot to eat in downtown Mobile?
So I would say the whole area, the place I've gone to the most is probably El Rincon. Once I
Fire.
discovered
Okay.
El
Yeah.
Rincon. But I'd say the other one, I guess that I've go to a lot is probably Loda Beer Garden.
I was about to say that's your vibe for sure.
Yeah, I went there with Ben Robbins and Dave Ivey a couple of nights during after Under the Oaks. It was real good. It had the best thing there is I think they call it the Courthouse Burger. It's a burger with buffalo blue cheese butter.
Ooh.
Wow, sounds good.
And it is absolutely spectacular.
Sounds pretty good.
Have you had the huge ass waffle burger?
I actually have not.
Is that
I
what
did
it's
have the chicken
called?
and waffle sandwich there one time.
You haven't had the burger though?
I haven't had the burger though.
Oh my gosh.
You recommend it?
It's life changing.
Okay.
2 waffles as the buns. The patty is like breakfast sausage. So it's not like not like a beef patty. It's like
I'm
a breakfast
hungry.
sausage patty. And the like syrup is like so good, and it's like has the syrup on it.
Ugh,
It's just phenomenal.
that sounds
Yeah,
good.
I'd say that's probably my favorite place here that I've experienced so far.
Have you had Roosters, the Mexican spot
I
downtown?
have had Roosters one time. I liked it.
I've only had it once. They were doing a burrito taco like special. It came with like a bunch of stuff, and it was really good. But that's the only thing I've
Yeah,
had.
I had
there.
it. It was like a burrito with like 17 things in it. One of those. I really liked it. I like Rincon a little better.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah,
But because that place, like the flavors, it's on top of things. It's like real Mexican.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was really good.
Fire.
I eat that pretty frequently.
So y'all like sushi? Do y'all like ceviche?
Yeah.
I like ceviche.
Yeah.
So have you had ceviche at Rincon?
No, I have not.
It's pretty good there.
Really?
But it's not on the menu anymore. But they'll still do it if you ask for it. They used to have a mixed seafood tostada that was like $7.
Okay.
It had like the ceviche, fish and shrimp and octopus.
Ooh.
And like it's not listed on the menu that way anymore, but they can still do it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like
secret menu.
sushi?
I don't like sushi actually. I say that I'm not 100% sure that I've really made myself. I'm so thrown off by the idea that I haven't really probably given it a fair chance. I suppose.
I had one of those Rouse's sushi bowls today. Like because I love ahi tuna. That's my favorite food. Just like sushi grade tuna, not cooked, just like a piece of it. There's just like the flavor on it's just insane, and they do it really good there. It's just rice, tuna, a little bit of like imitation crab, like chopped up, and then just like this sauce that they put in it, and it's just.
Fire.
I tell you one place if you're ever like out like toward Fairhope, there's a pizza place called the Ravenite. I think is the name of it.
I've heard that.
And they have my favorite thing that I've tried there was they have like a muffaletta pizza, and it's really good.
Okay.
If you're a fan of muffaletta, it's
Do
What
you,
is that?
what's your?
Yeah, what is?
I don't even
so,
know what that is.
so the muffaletta is like a traditional New Orleans Italian sandwich.
Okay.
It started out as a cold cut. The modern people kind of do it hot more. There's kind of a
Yeah.
big fight over it. But I like it hot personally. But it was like the original sandwich was like ham and capicola with this particular like olive salad
Yeah.
that had like certain peppers and stuff cut in with the olives, and it's really salty. And then it was on a particular type of bread or whatever. But they translated it to like pizza form.
That sounds
Wow.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Have you had Regina's
Regina's? I don't think so.
sandwich spot in Mobile?
Dude, I want to
Oh.
go there so bad.
Yeah,
I
I've
haven't
heard
been.
it's good.
It's one of the best. It's the best hot sandwich I've ever had.
Wow.
It's called the I want to make sure I'm saying it right because I want you to. You got to go. It's like $10. Like you go and you get the sandwich is like $10 and the chips and I mean you're not gonna spend a lot of money when you go there. It's It's so good. And it's a lot of food. The amount of what's clutch about it is the amount of meat they put on it. Like you don't get shortcut on the amount of meat. Sometimes like there's almost too much meat. Like on the Reuben, like it gets a little.
Yeah,
it's a good problem to have.
It is.
It's always easier to take more off than to put more on.
Yeah. It is. I get the shoal, and it's smoked turkey, like sliced, pimento cheese, but not like how you would buy it in the store pimento cheese. Like it's actually like pimento, and then like these sweet pickled jalapenos on it. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that sounds like a good combo.
It's fantastic. But there's another one they have called the Tom Turkey. That's fantastic. There's one called the Hoss. I think it's ham and turkey. It is fantastic. And then if you like a Reuben, they do a really good one.
Yeah, I love Reubens.
So I recommend
you
that.
like Reubens, Johan?
I've never had like too many of them, so I couldn't really tell you like the last time I had one. So
I'm not a super big fan, but theirs is like I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, Fulcher, did you get to see the historic MSG when you went to New York or no?
I think we saw the outside.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things because I was with the youth group is one of the things I would like to have done that we didn't get to do because we have kids there. But like,
right.
If it was up to me, I'd have been like watching them play pickup ball at Record Park or something like that.
Yeah.
Wherever, you know. But so there was a bunch of things we didn't get to see. But I saw a decent amount of things.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting. It was definitely. It was so weird because I wouldn't say that I liked it, but I think everyone should do it once just to understand it because like all of a sudden like movies made more sense and stuff like that. But it was like it was so wild because I was there for a week to 10 days on that trip, and that's the only time I've been still. But when I came back and like I walked outside and like heard like the crickets chirping, like I almost teared up like, oh my God, yes, crickets are still
That's
here.
crazy.
But it was like because it was so different. But it was actually weird because like it was such a culture shock that I kind of got like reverse culture shock going back home.
Oh yeah.
Because because I was from a pretty small town. Like when we moved to Saluda, it wasn't like some big change, you know. And so it was like that's kind of where I'm from. Kind of it's a little bigger than Saluda, but so it was like almost weird. Like I was in Greenwich Village that morning, and then I'm in Farmville that night. And it just felt really different, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
It is. I've been once, and it is truly weird. Like I remember, this was amazing. We went to they have that one building where they do a lot of the TV shows have been filmed there, and I remember we went there because my aunt really wanted to go. I was with my mom and my aunt and my cousin, and she was like they had like part of the set from The Office, like a mimic of it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, this is so amazing!" And I had never seen it at that point. I think I was 13 when we went. So I remember I discovered The Office in New York. So I remember the whole trip I was up all night watching The Office.
Yeah.
And I remember I like went to go use the bathroom in the hotel, and I like looked out the window, and I was like, "It's 3 a.m, and it is just as busy if it was 2 p.m. It's
That's
like
crazy.
It actually never sleeps.
And, and honestly, like legitimately, like at a spiritual level, like I don't know how people. Like I don't know how you how do you live like in peace in that much? Like it has to be like a little bit more difficult of a process to sort of, because like you can't like stop around and smell the rose because people will literally run you over.
Yeah,
like pedestrians.
Crazy.
There's no way.
Like there's no like you're barely able to like sightsee because someone's pushing you in the back.
Yeah, you kind of have to be rude when you're walking there.
Yeah,
like you have to. You can't be polite. You have to like push on people. Like
Cohen wouldn't be able to do it.
I don't really have much desire to go to New York City, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's different.
I'm glad I went once. I'm sure I'll go back at some point, but I wouldn't go there like. I'd have to be in a different mood. Like it's not like for me. It wouldn't be much of a vacation that you.
I would have
relax.
to go for like a thing.
That's what I was about to say. Like, if I was gonna go see like a UFC fight or a boxing fight at Madison Square Garden, I'd go.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You're gonna go see Power Slap?
No shot. They're probably in the back rooms of Madison Square Garden. They have like different rooms in that arena. It's kind of crazy. They have like a stadium.
I didn't see when I went.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
You have any dream like places you want to visit, like not necessarily vacation spots, but I guess that's.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I really had not been all that interested in like world traveling, and then I went over seas a couple years ago to visit some family that was living overseas, and I was like, actually this is kind of a pretty cool experience. I might want to do this more, and then now I have a hard time getting motivated to think about doing it again. It's like once you have all the long flights and all that stuff, but there's some things I'd like to see. Like I think if I really would like to probably see Israel one day when everything dies down, if it ever does. But that would be cool. I mean, really the stuff that I really want to see is like some like islands in the south. Like I've never been to Hawaii. I'd like to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I'd really like to go to what's the one in the South Pacific? Fiji.
That would be unreal.
I'd just love to see, just be able to chill out for a little while,
Yeah, for sure.
What's cool about a lot of those places is like not Fiji, but like you can go stay in a lot of those places for pretty inexpensive if you want to just stay in like a little like shack type thing like on Airbnb. Right. Like I was looking at Costa Rica the other day, like on Airbnb. It's like $120 a night for some of these little like hut like they're not like huts like you're in a village, but like it's like a hotel. It's not much more than a hotel, you know, like it's expensive, but it's not like outrageous. Like getting there is the hard part for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Flights are expensive.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like you realize once you talk to people that actually do stuff like that, like it is achievable to go do something like that. It's just for a lot of people, like we live in a bubble a lot of time. We're like, oh, we'll probably never see that. It's like it's not that far.
Yeah.
Like
and there's so much to see in America too. Like
there definitely is.
Country. We're really like 8 countries.
Yeah.
So it's like there's still stuff like I haven't seen. Other than I went to California for 1 week, but other than that, I haven't seen too much of the West Coast. I'd like to spend some more time in Colorado and places like that. I really haven't even spent a ton of time in Texas either. So like there's like parts of America I haven't got. I've been pretty much all up and down the whole East Coast, I think.
Yeah.
I think I looked at it one time. I think I've probably been in 25, 26 of the states anyway. So maybe,
that's pretty good.
Wow, that is.
So I've seen the eastern half pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know how many states I've been to.
I haven't been to a lot.
I've been to.
You've been to quite a bit,
probably.
Yeah,
probably more. I can't name them all right now.
The only one like I've been like kind of far away from here is like either Texas or Illinois, just like complete opposite, I guess. But shout out Chirac.
I've been to California a number of times, Vegas multiple times, so I've been over there. Like. Yeah. I haven't been to California recently, though. I used to go to California all the time when I was younger.
I would have loved to have gone to, like, Las Vegas during fight week back when, like, Vegas was still, like, hot. It's
it's trash
now. But it kind of, at least, it seems like at least the Vegas fight week thing isn't the same thing it used to be, but that would have been cool, I think.
I love Vegas. That's, like, concert heaven. Like, especially when we go for NFR. It's like you can literally just walk into a building and, like, I mean, every hotel every night has someone big playing. Dude, I was sitting it's called Big Dogs. It's like a restaurant in the Resort World, which is like this new poppin' hotel. And like they have this screen, and it's like we're there eating dinner. It's like a bar, and we're watching the rodeo. And on the screen, it's like saying who's playing, and it's like 1 a.m. It's like at we're probably there at 10. It's like tonight 1 a.m. Josh Abbott band.
Wow.
And I'm like. Just in the lobby.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like it's
crazy.
That's I really like Vegas. Every time I've been, it's been a really cool experience because there's just concerts everywhere.
I've been to Vegas a couple times, but I was younger, so I don't really like remember like Vegas. But I like to go now that I'm older and be able to see and do stuff.
Yeah,
it's
I go to the NFR one day.
I really like Vegas. It's fun.
But Fulcher, I got a question that came to mind. Other people may not know, people that are listening, but you're a pretty big boxing and basketball fan. Boxing probably more so.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us like how you got into boxing and who is your favorite boxer of all time?
How I got into boxing? So I was 13 years old and saw the movie Rocky.
Mm.
And you know how like when you're 13 you find something and you're like that's all you do.
Yeah.
And so I was like okay, I want to watch real boxing. Of course, the first time you're like, okay, this isn't exactly like Rocky, but
Right.
it was I still was really excited about it. So I started watching whatever I could find on basic, at basic cable at the time or whatever, Friday Night Fights on ESPN and that kind of thing. And then I had a friend who had HBO, so sometimes I would go over to his house and watch some of the big fights that they were talking about on the other one. And so, I think the first championship fight I saw was Jose Luis Castillo and Stevie Johnson, which was a good fight. That was a lightweight title fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Castillo wound up being, I think, the only guy to beat Mayweather. The judges robbed him, but I had him winning the fight. But that was a couple years down the road from then. But that was, I think, his first title defense at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I started watching, and I just went all into it. So, I found, this one boxing history website that had the list of had the records of every champion since the 1880s up there and I just memorized just everything because I'll just do that with stuff. If I get into anything, I need to know all the history of everything.
Can you still recite most of the champions or no?
Yeah, I could most of the original 8 weight classes. I could give you the whole list of lineal champions from beginning to end.
Really?
From how far ago?
From the beginning, 1885.
That's
Wow.
wicked. So
1912 lightweight champion.
1912 at lightweight. That's probably Freddie Welsh.
look it up. I want to know. This is gonna be crazy.
19.
I remember you did this with NBA champions at King one time.
It's probably Freddie. If it's not Freddie Welsh, it's Ad Woolgast. But
That's a pretty crazy trick. Or
Wait, so. Wait, what was your second one?
it might have been Ad Woolgast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember the order more so than the years.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
But
Wait, so what was your. Okay, so that was 1914 was Freddie Welsh.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
So, I mean, it wasn't like you were.
yeah.
right.
I
Like
mean,
you got
that's
it
still
wrong.
impressive. Yeah, that's
Right.
still
Here,
impressive.
let me pull something up here for you. Hold on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I will.
Wait, was it split by. Was it segregated at that point?
For the most part, but there were a handful of
Because
black
it's like
fighters who
asking.
had the
Yeah, I was about to
chance.
say because it's saying like who's the black heavyweight versus
Oh.
who's the white heavyweight.
Yeah, so they kind of created sort of like an informal black championship because people were not getting the opportunities.
Right.
Which is
Here,
a
let me,
damn
which
shame.
there was by the way, I think there's a dude named Sam Langford
Yeah.
who he's the best fighter to never win a championship. He's probably the third best fighter ever at worst. He started at lightweight, fought all the way to heavyweight.
Wow.
My God.
He
I know a
beat,
guy like that.
He literally he fought for so long that he was literally in the end of his career he was going blind and kept fighting
What?
and knocked out
Wow.
a Hall of Fame future middleweight champion in the second round while basically feeling for him on the inside and throwing
That's
right hands.
crazy.
What the heck?
And the dude started fighting at 136, ended up fighting heavyweights as the number one heavyweight contender for almost 10 years.
Wow.
That's
That's
absolutely
insane.
That's
And
impressive.
the
Did
only
he-
time he got a real title shot, they robbed him. He got stuck with a draw that he should have won, and then he never got a shot again because of some combination of being too black and too good. But
Seemed
all
to
right,
happen a
so here is the list of lineal heavyweight champions. I'm going to recognize Vitaly Klitschko as being champion after Lennox Lewis, and they haven't updated that since Usyk won. So you can tell me if I'm wrong.
All right,
John L. Sullivan, James J. Corbett, Bob Fitzsimmons, James J. Jeffries, Marvin Hart, Tommy Burns, Jack Johnson, Jess Willard, Jack Dempsey, Gene Tunney, Max Schmeling, Jack Sharkey, Primo Carnera, Max Baer, James J. Braddock, Joe Lewis, Ezra Charles, Jersey Joe Walcott, Rocky Marciano, Floyd Patterson, Ingemar Johansson, Patterson again, Sonny Liston, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Ali again, Leon Spinks, Ali the third time, Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Holyfield again, Michael Moore, Foreman again, Shannon Briggs, Lennox Lewis, Hasim Rahman, Lennox Lewis again, Vitaly Klitschko, Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's insane. From 1885 to like recent. Like,
That doesn't sound like a lot though. Like I feel like that's
Well,
crazy.
Joe Louis was champion for 12 years.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so
what I was
it's
about to say.
It's not like one of those
Wow.
things where
Yeah.
you pick a new one every year. you
Right,
know,
right,
so,
right.
insane.
You know, it's just-
So
That's
who's
crazy.
who's the greatest boxer of all time?
So hands down, it's Sugar Ray Robinson, who
Yeah.
was he was a welterweight champion in the late 40s, and then he was a 5-time middleweight champion in the 50s when he was basically past his prime and just kept hanging around. So
Yeah.
and if really they say that most of the footage we have is when he's started to slow down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he looks athletically, the slowed down version that we have film of, like literally 75 years later, he still looks like the most amazing athlete almost I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like
Wow.
hand speed,
Wow.
power, the combinations. He could dance like Ali, but he had an inside game and could just gut you with power punches too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's crazy. I think at one point he was 40-0. He lost a fight to a Hall of Famer named Jake LaMotta, who the movie Raging Bull is about.
Yeah.
He came back and beat LaMotta 5 more times after that, incling 2 weeks later.
That's
he was giving up
2
13
weeks later.
2 weeks later?
He came back 2
That's
weeks
not
later.
allowed anymore, I'm sure.
No, yeah. No, the all-time top 10 in boxing is closed because it's not even legal to fight the fights to match the accomplishments of that generation. you know?
Right, because like they fought a lot. Did they fight a lot more rounds? Right.
Yeah, and they fought, 15-round fights during the peak of the early days. Sometimes you went like 45 rounds or crap.
Oh,
Wow.
my God.
Which wasn't as fun to watch because the people were having to conserve so much energy. It was
Yeah.
better when they shortened
Yeah.
it. But I kind of missed the 15s though. But
Yeah. 15s would
It's
be
10
kinda
now,
sick.
right? Or
usually
12?
like
12?
10 for non-title fights and 12 for title
Okay.
fights.
Yeah.
10 and 12. That's right.
But so you have so Robinson. He was like 40-0. He lost that one fight and then reeled off another winning streak. I think he was like at one point he was like 127-1.
So he ended his career with one loss?
So he came back. He kept coming back
Okay.
over and over and over again. So we ended up with like 18, 19 losses, but that's against like almost 300
Yeah,
wins.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
he beat
300 wins is crazy.
Like I looked at it, like he had more victories over world champions and Hall of Famers than some people have fights today. I mean, he had like
Right.
I saw there's some Twitter account that does like people's records against the top 10 or whatever in history, and he literally had more wins over top 10 guys than most of today's champions have professional fights.
Well, it's like
It was astonishing.
these guys nowadays. They're not fighting 3 times a year. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
how
it's
are
ridiculous.
you doing
Like
that?
you only see them,
Yeah.
every 9 months or something. And some of them are legit. Like I'm convinced Alexander Usyk could have been champion at any time.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Terrence Crawford. I feel the
Yeah.
same way for the most part about Inoue.
Inoue's a dog.
And so one of the greatest moments of my teaching career was Naoya Inoue. He's the bantamweight champion, or he's a junior featherweight champion now. He fights at like 6 a.m. because he's in Japan.
Yeah.
And so one day when I was teaching the boys, they heard a scream from my room and thought there was like a problem. And I was watching the bantamweight championship, and it wound up being the
Wow.
fight of the year in 2019 between
We missed 2 class
Inoue and
periods.
Anita Daenerys.
I think
Missed
I
the
heard
whole
this.
class. We just had
That's
this
awesome.
like 5 or 6 guys gathered around my computer, and we just like, hold on, we'll get to class in a minute.
No,
Dude, that's
that was
awesome.
the greatest. I had no clue what I was watching, and it's kind of sad because that was the first boxing match I'd ever watched, and nothing is compared to that.
Right, it's all downhill
Wow.
from there. It was kind of an all-time classic, but that was fun.
Yeah.
But yes, it's like there's a lot of fighters who I think have been great, but it's hard to like. I think like the top 10 is just closed. No one's going to be able to have that many kind of wins again. I think. But
So, have you seen pretty much like all the boxing movies, like the good boxing movies, pretty much?
I wouldn't say I've seen all of them. I've seen a decent amount of them.
Yeah. So what's your favorite?
I'm going to go original Rocky.
Okay.
Obviously there's an argument between 1 and 3 because the Rocky series kind of changes genre.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 are dramas and then they become action movies.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I feel like they were very good at being different things.
Yeah.
But I think the original Rocky is still the best.
Yeah.
And then I need to see Raging Bull again. I know that's like the argument is usually Rocky or
Yeah.
Raging Bull. I know Raging Bull's like quote unquote better cinema, but it's
I don't-
depressing. It's a little dark. or
Yeah. I
whatever,
don't
but,
like.
I'll tell you a good one that not a lot of people know. It's another old black and white one. There was one called Requiem for a Heavyweight that was about like I think Anthony Quinn was in it. And it's about like a down on his luck, like busted up old fighter who's trying to make sense of his manager is ripping him off, and he's like having to deal with retiring. And it's pretty good. That's pretty good. But it's a very cinematic sport. Like it creates the reason it's my favorite sport. It creates it just creates different hurdles to climb for people than like we talk about. Oh, they showed a lot of heart that they made a shot with but no, it's a different kind of heart when you're like you've been knocked down and your ribs are hurting and you get up and pull something off.
Yeah, it's a different type of heart when you hit those championship rounds.
Like it's a different thing. Yeah. But yeah, I love my favorite. I'd say you asked my favorite. I'd say my favorite since historically, like watching old film, I really love Joe Frazier. He's the first guy to beat Ali, among other things, was heavyweight champion, and his style was. I love it because he's very. I really like left hooks and body punchers, and he does. Yeah. That's all he does. Yeah. So I really like Joe Frazier. I really like Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard is one of the absolute best fights ever. The first one, if you go watch the first one. But my favorites of the time I've been watching have been Manny Pacquiao and Chocolatito Gonzalez. Are probably my two favorites. And Vasily Lomachenko is probably in there pretty close too.
Lomachenko's a dog.
Yeah, he was like 391-1 in the amateurs.
Yeah,
2 Olympic gold medals. It's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah. Manny Pacquiao, dog. Now president of what, Philippines?
Well, he ran for president, didn't win, but he was a senator.
Senator, yeah.
That's crazy.
He was such a celebrity in the Philippines that there were Islamic terrorists were like doing a revolt and they were having a little civil war and they called a truce to watch the Pacquiao fight.
What the heck?
That's fine.
You get like Islamic rebels are like, hey, let's take the night off and watch Pacquiao and Ricky Hatton.
Yeah.
What?
That fight is pretty good.
That was the one where he smashed that poor Englishman like he stole something.
Yeah,
I've watched
your
house for fights, right?
Huh?
Yeah, you came over and watched that Benavidez Morel, I think it was. Right?
Yeah,
that was a few months ago now.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
it
was a good time.
It was.
Yeah, isn't and now what's his name is fighting Benavidez, or he's gonna vacate the belt. I saw something.
Yeah. So they WBC wanted Dimitri Bivol to fight Benavidez.
Yeah,
but he wants to do the be a rubber match. So he's going to give up the WBC title, which I think they should. They need to finish that trilogy because it's so good. Yeah, it's like they fought like 24 rounds and it might be 12 rounds to 12. So you just need to settle it. You just need to settle it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's what I kind of like about boxing is like they kind of just they settle the beef, like they don't let it go out into thin air type deal.
Well, you should. It's like a weird thing. It's like somewhere along the way. The worst thing that happened to the sport was when Mayweather-Pacquiao made as much money as it made, being 5 years later than they should have fought. Yeah. And so he kind of gave all the promoters the wrong lesson. Like, if we just don't give the fans what they want for long enough, they'll come begging for it later. And, And then, like, all of a sudden he started, like, there's a lot of guys that just have not fought the fights they needed to fight.
Right.
Is that why you think people fight so much less? Because it brings so much money?
Yeah.
I mean, if a guy's making $20 million, why does he need to fight more than once a year?
Right. I'm not going to I'll put myself in their shoes. I'm not going to put myself through that many bouts if I don't have to. I mean, it sucks, it's, you might have a little fun while you're knocking the dude out, but then the next day you're going to wake up and your ribs are sore whether you won or not, Your head's getting banged whether you won or not. So
yeah, and like I said, if you're making $20 million to fight someone, why would you fight? I'd fight twice a year too. Maybe once a year. Maybe once ever.
No doubt.
Just fight once and invest it, by God, So I mean, I understand, but I just don't like when people then turn around and say like, okay, y'all, you had 17 pro fights, and we're gonna say that you're better than someone who was like champion for 12. Right. So it's just as far as where you rank people. Now I say that like some of these guys could compete with anybody, but I don't think the talent pool's as deep as it used to be in some ways, but it's still when it's the worst run sport in the world, but like when it's good, it's so good. It's like that's awesome. You just get a different rush out of it when it's at its height than you do a ball game to me.
For sure.
But what about basketball? Let's talk basketball. How you think it's been recently? Because I know you're saying boxing's not at its peak right now. How do you think basketball as a sport is right now?
And I should say I feel like boxing's a little bit on the rebound the last year or two. There've been a lot of bigger fights happening, so that kind of might bode well for the future. Other than the fact that you might have some hostile takeover happening, but anyway. Yeah. But basketball, I agree. So there's a lot of people arguing about the how basketball's gone. I hate the conversation we're having about basketball right now as far as like. And it started with the like Jordan LeBron conversation turning so ugly. Yeah. That like everyone's like doing this thing where they have to like act like all the previous generations of basketball are trash.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, watch the film.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard. Like, we have clips. You're saying that none of these guys were athletic. You're telling me Dominique Wilkins wasn't athletic. I have film.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
what are you saying?
They're like they played against plumbers and
Like, are you
electricians.
kidding?
I'm like,
I'm watching the game.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
doing basketball
It's
moves. They're
still a
busting people
professional
up.
sport.
yeah.
They're professional athletes. They're making shots. They're dunking on people's
Yeah.
heads.
There was still high school basketball, which you had to get past.
Yeah.
You know, so like I
LeBron's
do.
veiny.
So I do see the argument. Like, I think with today's, I really do enjoy parts of like modern basketball because I love when they're bombing threes and making them.
Right.
But it gets really ugly when they're bombing threes and bricking them.
Yeah, when you're
It-
like missing 23s
and it's
in
like,
a game, yeah.
You're seeing like, you know, if you get like one of these games where like the Celtics are having a bad night and it's just like brick, and we're gonna
Yeah.
put up 80 of them. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like.
Yeah.
It starts to get a little rough to watch. But I will say some people do have a little bit of rose-colored glasses about like the 2000s and stuff. Like, it got way too slow. Like, if you watch
Yeah.
those games now, you'd be like, well, come on, people.
Yeah.
Shoot. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do like kind of the pace and space stuff, but I think it just needs to be balanced out a little bit. I think it's going a little too far in one direction.
Yeah.
I was talking about I was playing pickup at school today,
Yeah.
and like I was talking to someone how like no one even playing pickup now even thinks about throwing it into the post ever.
That's what I'm saying,
Like, you
bruh.
can't ever get someone to throw you a post entry pass in a
No.
pickup game ever.
Shout out Brick Hog. He's
You know?
taking a 40-foot three when somebody's butt booty naked in the middle of the
Okay,
paint.
but when I'm playing, they
When-
do.
oh,
when
whenever
they
I-
do
yeah,
give
yeah.
it to me.
That
and
is
they
true.
do give me the ball in the paint when I'm playing because I'll tackle
You're-
Cohen.
Yeah.
I've done it
You're
twice.
quite a bit taller.
Yeah, Elijah's he's the Shaq of the pickup basketball. You just throw it in the paint,
Yeah, I
He'll
can't.
Because I might
Can't
miss it on the first try,
but
but
re-
second or
You'll get
second
that
or third's
rebound.
going in.
Yeah.
No, they've been going a little too crazy on pickup basketball recently.
Fun.
I love basketball so much because it's one of the few sports that like you can just play like
Yeah.
at the court. Like
Yeah.
you can't.
Mhm.
It's odd when you grab a football and just start slinging the
Right.
rock. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to be.
But
that
it could be the move, bruh.
playing football more.
Like, just like I saw one where it was like at the golf course, you're waiting for your tee time. Take
And
a
you just have a football.
football out your golf bag, sling the
I'm
rock
down
a little
to play
bit.
football. Some.
Yeah, we could definitely start slinging the rock more. But you don't want to be that like.
You don't want to
you
be
don't wanna
that
be that
guy.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it is
Yeah.
like because I mean
Basketball's
I
like-
think I could even be down to like keep a baseball glove in my car.
Dude,
Toss
I've
the
been
base-
so down to keep throw. I've been wanting to throw a baseball
Yeah.
since baseball season started. Like, baseball is constantly on the TV. Like, if there's
Is
a
it?
game on, I'm watching.
Have you been watching?
Not as much as him, but like if it's on, I'll watch it with him.
Dude,
Like,
I need to get. I have this like. Last night we were chilling and it was on, and I kind of like have the itch to like watch it more this year.
Dude, it's fire. There's just a lot more stars in it, like, than
Yeah.
there has been. Like, you went through the dry period, really. Not to glaze, but, like, until Shohei came on, it was, like, kind of just, like, Mike Trout, who had been getting injured for a couple years. And then, like, you had some stars still, but, like, you didn't have, like, superstars like you do now. Like, you have, like, Shohei. You have, like, Jackson Merrill on the Padres. He's super good. Like, there's just, the talent is just,
Wander, Franco.
no, he's a pedophile. No, straight up, like 14-year-old Fulcher. Crazy.
wow.
But they were married.
Yeah.
Like he was married to a 14-year-old.
It was like in Puerto Rico or
Yeah.
wherever though.
He was like buying her cars and things. And
Yeah.
I found out about it.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
she
is-
can't drive.
that is strange.
yeah, he was like sending her mom like allowance pretty much. It was pretty wicked.
That's a little weird.
Yeah,
It
now
is a
he's
little
canceled.
weird, for sure. Do you watch golf ever?
I've never gotten into golf.
Big week for golf.
The Masters.
The Masters is
baby.
this week.
I feel like I'm not a big golf guy, but like as a Georgian, like as a Georgia-born man, I feel like I have to watch the Masters. Like
There's
this
just something different about it. It's kind of This is a horrible comparison, but it's almost like even if you don't care about football, you're gonna watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much excellence that comes along with them. I can't believe I didn't tell you. Sorry, I just completely swapped subjects because I have a big weekend. I'm seeing Zach Top and Red Clay Strays this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going to Auburn Rodeo, which is like a
That's fire.
1 to 4 on Saturday. They do an actual rodeo, and then starting at 4:30, they do concerts. I think there's 2 girls that play. I'm not familiar with either one of them. I'm familiar with the one song she had on TikTok. She's like, I like my trailers like you like your women, ooh, double wide. You know that song?
Oh yeah.
You know,
I don't know that- I
it's
don't
like a
know that
TikTok song. She's doing it. And then it's Cameron Whitcomb, and then Zach Top and Red Clay Strays. That's who's playing like the main.
Man,
That's
that'd
fire.
be a good show.
Yeah, that will be.
Yeah, I'm fired up about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zach Top's one of the best like raw singers we've had come in a while. I feel like he probably needs to work on his material a little bit, because when I get in the mood to listen to him, my favorite thing is still like YouTube covers.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah,
I
I,
think
like
there's
his
only, like,
Keith
two-
Whitley
There's
covers.
only like 2 or 3 songs like on the album that really grabbed me, but I think if they can find the right material for, I feel like there ought to be like Nashville ought to be backed up enough with traditional songs that no one's
Yeah.
been taking for 15 years.
Right.
right.
You could find the right stuff for him, but I think that voice is just, you can't make that
Yeah.
happen. You know.
I heard somewhere that he didn't play a lot of bars and stuff. He had been like, I think he got discovered by someone in Nashville, and they told him to not play bars, to keep working his job, his construction job, and to write. So that's why he the first time people heard him, he had an album like immediately.
Wow.
So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
wondering like if there's more, because I mean there's only been one record and
Yeah.
like one
Yeah.
single.
Something like
Beer
that.
for
Yeah,
breakfast?
Not
Yeah.
very much.
He hasn't put out very much
I think
since he's hit.
he has like a EP with like 6 songs or something
Yeah.
like that, with that one song about drinking on the beach. What's that one song?
Is that just came out?
No, that one was.
Oh,
a while
you're talking
ago.
about the okay, yeah.
That I'm talking about his like EP or
His
whatever.
thing he did with Billy Strings was pretty fantastic too. The little Apple Music, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He has 2 albums out. and a
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
single.
first one was more bluegrass. And
Yeah,
he's an
yeah, yeah.
amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
first
but
one.
since
yeah.
he's like really gotten like some fame, he just hasn't really put much out. But I mean, I guess that's because
Yeah, he's still pretty new.
He's like touring
Yeah.
and stuff.
I mean,
He just got
he's a
straight
busy
in there.
guy.
Yeah.
I thought of an interesting country music hot take the other day, which is that. So if you look at it, like most people, because our brains are like programmed to think in terms of like what's on the radio is like the
Yeah.
era. Like you would say, like the 2010s would be the absolute bottom of the barrel because it's Florida Georgia Line and it's Sam Hunt and it's
Yeah.
Jason Aldean and it's Luke Bryan, and I just want to
Yeah.
drive a spike through my head while I even say the names, and you know. But the thing is, if you actually like go to the underground stuff, like you had like 2010s, you had like Sturgill Simpson and Tyler
Yeah.
Childers
Yeah.
and Coulter Wall
Mhm.
and you know, if Jason Isbell, if you count him as country, he's kind of on the
Yeah.
borderline there. You know, you got Charlie Crockett came in,
Charlie
you know,
Crockett.
Billy String, all this
banger.
stuff, and like there's actually an argument that if you throw out the charts and look at the under the ground stuff, the 2010s might have been like the golden age.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
like those. Like, I feel like there's no reason to say that those guys couldn't have. And I say this as someone that I listened to like a couple days ago. I put on some Jimmy Rogers songs from the 20s for fun. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm disrespecting tradition or anything.
Right.
Trust me, anyone who knows me. But like, I actually think like that whole group of guys could look Willie and Waylon in the eye, and you know, feel
Well-
like
Yeah.
peers. You know, Stapleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
no,
like-
I was saying that. I was talking to Bobby Limley the other night. Shout out. Only
out.
shout out this episode, I think.
Yeah.
We were talking about Zach Top.
Except for
Do
Britt.
you think George Strait's my, like, he's the king, and you know everyone sees him as the king. He is like my favorite, but he never wrote a hit. Like
True.
that's just a fact. Dean Dillon wrote pretty much all of his hits,
Right.
and he just has the magic. Like he's just good at what he's doing. But like Zach Top is a better guitarist, probably a better vocalist, and writes his songs. So it's like.
Yeah.
What I mean, like he could. I've heard George Strait say this. I think Jamie Johnson and someone else covered his song, and he was there, and he was like, "Boy, I'm glad I found these songs before they did."
Yeah.
Because it like,
I've seen that.
you know what I'm talking about. So it's like, I agree with you. I definitely think some of those guys, like, I think the older cats would agree. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of like young talent in like today's country music.
It's easy to see it too with social media. That's
Right.
one thing
Yeah,
social
that
media
TikTok
does well
is-
is allows
TikTok,
you to
yeah.
find.
It's changed everything.
Now I do feel like the revolution's losing a little steam. Like I haven't really like found anyone that's like flipped my lid the way like Sturgill and Turnpike did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, this time 10 years ago in a little while. You know,
Right.
but I'm sure it's around the corner. You know,
Yeah.
For me, that's Ben Zach Top. Like
Yeah.
I feel like he is like every time I listen to him, I'm like he's literally carrying country music on his back. Like it just
Yeah.
feels like we're close to. Like,
It's like that real country music, like
yeah.
And
you
then
listen to him, you feel like he's like a '90s country singer almost.
Yeah.
well, yeah, and you definitely like. They so recreated that '90s sound so
Yeah.
perfectly down to like what tones they would use on
Mhm.
guitar and everything. That it was like, it's pretty good. I will say it is a little funny to me though. Like now, like when people say old country, they're talking about the '90s. Like when I say old, I'm not talking about the '90s. Like y'all had that old conversation
Right,
with Jimmy
yeah.
about, oh, what was your favorite old country? It's like these guys aren't old. These
Yeah,
like that's kind of new school stuff. You know, Garth. You know, come on. You know. But
Yeah.
I was like, if you say old, I'm thinking Hank Williams and
Right.
Merle
Right.
Haggard and that kind of thing. But
let me
Keith
tell you,
Whitley.
at the thrift store, me and Cohen went, and we were looking through the CDs, found a Merle Haggard CD, and
Yeah.
my truck still has a CD player, so I popped that puppy in. It was fire.
oh, the platonic ideal of a country singer, Merle Haggard. It's just absolute perfection.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite country artist?
Okay,
Like strictly country, not any like no
Folk- not
mixing
any,
of
like, folk
genres.
things. Yeah.
so I would say. So I would say it depends, I guess, on whether you would count bluegrass or not. If you don't count bluegrass, there's a big musicological argument: is it folk, is it country, is it its own thing? But if you count bluegrass, it's a band called Newgrass Revival that was kind of the first bluegrass band. Have you ever listened to any of that? Taylor? Yeah, they were the first to really kind of bring in like some different sounds, rock influence, jazz influence, and
Okay.
stuff. And then they broke into Sam Bush and Bela Fleck, who were the two key musicians. Both had
Yeah.
incredible solo careers. That if you put them all together, that's probably my favorite. And then Billy Strings would probably be next. As far as like guys who are predominantly country but not bluegrass, I would say my favorite is probably Sturgill at this point. I was going to see him tomorrow, and they canceled the show in Orange Beach.
Dang.
Oh, did they?
Dang.
Oh man, yeah, just like a few days ago.
What for?
Just-
what reason?
I don't know. I don't know if they
Is it
weren't
like the
selling
weather
tickets
or something?
What it was.
Well,
but-
actually, dude, I went. I was gonna go last minute. I think a couple days ago I looked at tickets. They were like $20. Like it was.
so maybe that's
Wow.
what it is.
I think
then.
it. I don't think it
I
sold.
think they got a little ambitious with the size of the, because they like announced like a couple like theater shows around the same
Yeah.
time. So I think and I don't. Thankfully, I saw him last year, so it's not as big a blow. Although it was one of the best shows I ever saw. But
Yeah.
he's
Did you
one
get
of the
like a
best.
full refund on your money?
Yeah,
Is that how
it's-
they do that
it's
thing?
coming, I
Yeah.
haven't got it yet, but they
Yeah.
said it's coming. But
Yeah.
Sturgill's one of the best live performers I've ever seen too.
He
I've seen
doesn't
him.
like really release music, does he? Sturgill? Like
He's
not-
Most of the
Oh,
time,
well.
not under his name.
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Well-
I feel like he hasn't released like an album in forever. You
Well,
know?
he came out with one
Johnny,
last year.
Was it last
Johnny
year?
Blue Skies.
Yeah.
He put it out under the name Johnny Blue Skies because he always promised he'd put 5 albums out under his name, so he changed his
Oh.
name. So
That's
it's
funny.
actually a really good comeback album. I was pleased with it.
I really liked it as well.
The one at the end, One for the Road. I love that song.
Yo,
That's a good one. So yeah, I'd say Sturgill's probably my favorite. Of course, I mean he's done almost as much rock as country now at this point, but
yeah.
Sturgill, Turnpike's right up there,
Yeah.
and then Willie Nelson's my favorite OG. I love
Yeah.
some Willie, and then Merle. Here's the thing about Willie Nelson is that 100 people will tell you that like Willie Nelson was like one of the greatest influences or inspirations, but no one has copied his style ever. Like there's no one who's been like, you know what
Yeah.
we're gonna do? We're gonna have a band. We're gonna build it around nylon guitar and harmonica and upright piano and singing behind the beat. Like so, like he
Very
inspired,
behind the beat.
So he like inspired a lot of people to like go be themselves or make their own music, but no one was even thinking of. No one's even trying.
They're not gonna
copy
try
Willie
to-
Nelson,
right.
you know? He's,
Yeah.
he's his own thing, you know.
Yeah.
So Willie Merle, my favorite songwriter is probably Robert Earl Keen. I think he tells some of the coolest stories of
Yeah.
anyone who's ever written a song. It doesn't sing as well as the other ones, but it's well worth it.
A lot of them don't.
You know,
A lot of the best songwriters have to get other people to do it
Yeah.
because they can't sing it great.
and I'd say if I were to round up the top 10, I'd say my favorite female artist would be Emmylou Harris. Is just possibly the most beautiful voice I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Waylon would be right up there. Waylon Jennings, Tyler Childers is pretty up there. Hank Sr. Especially after. There's something magical about listening to Hank Sr. after dark. If you wait until after dark, especially if you're driving down a lonely country road with nobody there, like out in the boonies, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, and it's like a little creepy on a dimly lit Alabama highway, and you turn on "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry" or "Lost Highway," it is a different experience.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
That's
both
hilarious.
like Hank Williams Jr. too. Like I feel like if you want to feel real country, Jimmy sent this to us, me and Elijah. He was like, if y'all want to feel real country, listen to some Hank Williams Jr. and Senior, and you'll feel real country.
yeah, so Senior's definitely on a different tier than Junior, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
although I could jam some Whiskey Bit and Hellbound right now, but that's a great.
What's
tier.
your favorite Sturgill album?
You know, for a long time I wanted to be contrarian and say High Top Mountain, but it had to be Metamodern after long enough. Like it wore me down. So Metamodern sounds in country music. It's just the tones they get in it, the sounds. It was like traditional and creative at the same time. Some of the best guitar work I've ever heard. His voice is so good. The songs were one of the things I love about Sturgill is like he just writes songs that no one else is writing opening songs with. I woke up today and decided to kill my ego, or the one really underrated one is the song "Sea Stories" that he did about his time in the Navy, and he has that one verse where he names all these Asian cities he was stationed in that no one can sing along to because
What the heck?
it's just and you're like, man, who else writes a song like this? It's just cool. So he's I think one of the most like creative guys I ever heard.
We've talked about this before, I think back in South Carolina, but I loved the album like the Ballad of Dude and Juanita.
Yeah,
I love that
Say
album.
that.
Did you like that one?
I liked it. I felt like I feel like the songs didn't like stand alone very well. Like you have to sit and listen to the album.
Okay.
So other than Juanita,
Yeah.
and I guess Sam's enjoyable just for the harmony singing or whatever. Juanita's the best song on that album, I think.
Yeah, with Willie. That's the one with Willie Nelson,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Which they did that live when I saw them in Atlanta last year, and they played like Willie's solo. They played it on steel, and it was spectacular.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well,
Heck.
Fulcher, before we wrap it up, we haven't really touched on food much since the beginning gas station little rant.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite type of food? Like, kind of like culture of food.
Genre.
Yeah, and then what's like your favorite dish?
So I feel like Italian is probably like
Okay.
my favorite. And I'm a pizza hawk.
Yeah.
I love some pizza. I'm a little picky about it. I'm a little hard to please with it sometimes. So when I get pizza that hits me right, it hits me deep.
Yeah.
The best pizza in America. If anyone ever listens to this who lives in Central Virginia, there's a place in Chesterfield, Virginia called Anna's Pizza that I don't know what they do. I don't know what planet they're getting the cheese from, what planet they're getting the dough from, but it is the best pizza I've ever had.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You gotta get the pepperoni and extra cheese. And when we were kids, they had like a special. It was like 2 toppings for like $20 or something, and so we would get the extra cheese. And when you ask them for extra cheese, like there's such a big glob of cheese that you nearly choked to death.
Wow.
Oh my
but
God.
you lift it off of the pan and it's just cheese, it's spectacular.
Got me fired
That's
up.
my favorite restaurant in America. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully I'll catch it next week over spring break. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So I'd say, I love pizza. I make pasta all the time around the house. So that's probably, and then the close second would be Mexican. Ever
out.
since I started hanging out with Johan's parents, I've gotten pickier about that than I used to be. Like, no, there's a lot of stuff that once would have been acceptable that is no longer acceptable.
Yeah.
But because his parents can cook some Mexican food, let me tell you. But
No doubt.
Yeah. I've been picky my whole life when it comes to Mexican food. But yeah.
Yep. So Italian, Mexican. What's you said your favorite restaurant is Anna's. Do you have a favorite Mexican restaurant?
Johan's house. No. But other than that, I don't know that I necessarily have one that really stands out from the rest. I mean, right now I'm pretty happy with Rincon, but I don't want to say it's the best I've ever had. I'd have to think about it, but it's better than the ones in my hometown were. So, there was a killer taco place when we were in Saluda that was like across. Did you hear the one that was across the street from the courthouse?
Yeah, I did. I don't know if we ever went together, but I know you told me about it.
It's like it was like cash only.
Yeah.
But it was like
Was the building a weird color?
yeah, it's like greenish or something.
Yeah,
but it's like
the buildings changed colors there pretty
Frequently.
frequently.
Yeah. Frequently. Yeah.
But it was they had these killer tacos out past store, and then we're like, it was something like you could walk out of there with like 4 tacos and a drink for like $8.
Yeah.
Dude,
back in the day.
that's a
Wow.
steal.
I don't know if you can now.
Mini
but-
tacos
Huh?
at 7-Eleven?
Oh, the mini taco.
You worked at the 7-Eleven though.
Oh yes, I did. I had an experience working.
You did?
I moved to Saluda during the wrong time to find a teaching job. Like I moved in like June, and so I was just scrounging, trying to come up with anything I can come up with. And
Yeah.
the best I could come up with was to work the night shift at 7-Eleven.
Wow.
Dang.
I
was
didn't know
working-
that.
I was working the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift.
That's wicked.
4 nights. And so
Wow.
the first night on the job, I got locked in the drink cooler behind the Gatorades.
Oh, I've heard this story. Yeah, I heard that.
Like I actually, what happened was there was a button you were supposed to push to get out, but it looked like you were supposed to turn it. So I'm trying to turn it and it's not turning. So I'm thinking I'm
wow.
locked in. So all of a sudden I'm waving a hand behind the wall of Gatorade, screaming for help, somebody. You know,
That's funny.
just breaking the fourth wall. You don't realize there's like
Yeah.
space back there behind
Yeah.
the drinks.
Wow.
It feels like that's
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah.
So I'm back there in the, with no coat on in the refrigerator, just screaming for help, and someone finally
Dude,
opened
that's
it up there
funny.
for me. But
That's fun. That's
I went
crazy.
back the other day. I was in Aldi. I say the other day. It was a while ago. But I was in Aldi. And somebody sent me to get heavy cream. And there was no heavy cream. And I could see that the heavy cream was missing. But because there was no heavy cream, I could see straight into the back.
Yeah.
And I saw a gap big enough on the ground for me to get in.
No.
So I went under and went into the back of Aldi, which is massive back there.
That's wicked. You
And I went and
behind-
found some
Yeah,
heavy
that's-
cream. It's still in the package.
Wow.
Fire.
let me tell you the worst part of working at a convenience store situation. The single worst thing was cleaning the hot dog roller.
Oh.
bad.
Man, it was the smell. You could just smell the hot dog grease. Oh, it was so bad.
Oh.
Did you make mini tacos?
I never started. I never made the food myself.
Yeah.
I didn't work there very long. So it was only like a month or two. So
Yeah.
they kind of, I guess, probably would have trained me up to do it eventually.
Right.
I'll tell you though, not to get. I don't know why we always end up on gas station food with this particular series, but the chicken wings at 7-Eleven were not bad.
Hey, they're solid. Old Ike will tear them jokers
Yeah,
up. Shout
Boogie
out
will.
Boogie. He'll
Which,
love.
by the
them
way, I
chicken
had
wings.
this thought. Y'all need to do an Ike Thompson episode.
Yeah, we will.
Like it needs to
Yeah,
have.
that would
I
be-
need
I can't wait.
an
That'd be
hour of him
hilarious.
just telling.
We should go to
stories.
his house, Tay, and set it up there. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Fire. Oh.
Let him drink.
Yeah. 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 He can.
Because I love a good Ike Thompson story as much as anything in the world. I think.
You know,
They're the wildest ones for sure. I mean, have you heard him talk about his buddy Moochie?
I'm not sure.
You probably have. That's what he named. He named one of Matt Putman's kids Moochie. That's what he calls
Oh
him.
my
I got
goodness.
to meet Moochie at a funeral a couple
Yes.
weekends ago, and it was
Wow.
fantastic. Yeah, it was just fantastic.
yeah. That's. Hit.
That's funny.
I no shade. Shout out Apostle Aaron. I have a better time tracking Mr. Ike than I had Apostle Aaron today. At
All
Union.
over the place.
It was
be
wild.
To be fair,
Wild.
he said some
Yeah.
wild stuff in our last one he did with us.
Oh, and today, didn't he say something today? It was pretty wicked.
He made the statement, "I quit talking to the devil in 2009,"
yeah.
which is I think we all did.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's
He
kind of
was
a
a
turning
remember.
point.
And then he said something about like 12. No, I don't know why I say In 2012, he said something about the devil and
Yeah.
I don't know something.
He's
like
not a fan of the 3 M's.
that. We can't say the 3 M's.
Can we not?
No, that's a little too wicked.
The Mormons and Masons and the Muslims. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of them.
No, he's
He's just not a fan.
Or, no, he said,
he's not a fan of their systems
Yeah.
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 and how like. So he's a fan of the people,
Yeah.
and he was
Yeah,
saying
he
that
said
he
he
loves all the
systems and
people, and how God loves all the people. He just doesn't love their systems can be kind of corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're a businessman like him,
Yeah.
Can't be having that.
He came in wearing a full suit today. It was
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, full suit. So it was
Mhm.
pretty awesome. But yeah, this was awesome, Mr.
Yeah,
Fulcher.
a
Thank
lot
you
of
for
fun.
hanging out with
Enjoyed
us.
Indeed, anytime.
I
Yeah.
feel like we could do 5 episodes of Fulcher just spewing out stories. We didn't even get to the goat story, about
Dang.
your
Should we
neighbor.
squeeze in the goat story?
I think we might need to squeeze in the goat story.
we
Yeah,
I
might
was
need to
squeeze in-
squeeze in the goat story.
Squeeze in the
yeah,
goat
we're gonna
story.
not actually wrap up right now. We're
Yeah.
gonna tell one more
Yeah.
story and then we're
One
gonna let
more
you off the
minute.
hook.
So once upon a time, me and Matt Putman and Nathan Poe were all living together in
Shout
elementary
out.
school. We had a bunch of other people that are here that were at the school with us as well, but the three of us lived together. And
Shout out.
we were in a neighborhood that was I don't know, it wasn't the best in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know that there was one in that town. But we had I have been an old man since I was 8.
Yep.
Oh, I know this story.
I'm
Where
just
have I heard
like
this?
that's just kind of how I am. And so I had this nightly routine, especially because like I was having to live with like 5 guys in a 3-bedroom house, and this is I'm a little cramped. So I would go out after dinner, and I would go sit on my back porch. I had brought a rocking chair with me, and I would go rock and listen to the crickets, and
Yeah.
throw a few darts, and whatever, just kind of hang out, decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
And one night I go out and I hear this terrible sound like, I'm like, what is that sound? and so I ignore it and try to go back to rocking, and then I hear this terrible, what in the world is this? And after like the 3rd time, I'm like, this sounds like a goat. Where is there a goat?
Yeah.
Well, I get up and start walking around, and I look, and our neighbors, who always kind of gave us the creeps, our neighbors have a goat under the back porch. Like, in there, like lattice work, like
Yeah.
keeping them from the outside world.
That's
like
crazy.
they've got like the goat like trapped under the back porch. And I'm like, what is going on here? Oh, you ain't ready. So anyway, this goat continues bleeding, not bleeding, but
Yeah.
he's
It'll
about
get,
to.
it'll get there, yeah.
So, not by my handle. That's more circumstantial than
Yeah.
intentional. But so I keep hearing this just terrible noise, right? And finally, I start to realize this thing's not going to stop, and it's going to ruin my completely ruin my nightly routine. I'm never going to have peace again. I've got 4 people in that house, and I can't even go outside and chill because this goat is going to be interrupting it. And like I just completely flip out and start screaming at the goat, "For the love of God, would you please shut up?"
Yeah.
So all of this is happening on this. I discover the goat on a Wednesday night. We've got church. This is like supper time before we head over there. They're all eating lunch. I don't realize that they all heard me. So we go to church, and I went home to study for something, trying to be responsible. Everybody else went to Taco Bell, and so while they're at Taco Bell, evidently everyone's telling the story about me screaming at the goat and laughing about it. I don't even know that they knew. So the next day, like I show up to school and everyone's picking on me. They making jokes about the goat, and I picked up my nickname in Bible college was Ahmed the Goat Herder. I did have an appropriate level beard for that nickname at the time, so anyway, and the goat just wouldn't stop. Just literally every time I went outside, it started making a racket. It got to the point someone asked me, "What's your favorite book of the Bible?" I said Leviticus, because they kill a goat in every other chapter.
Yeah.
So after a while, it becomes such an inside joke because other people would go outside and it would leave them alone. But every time I'd go outside, it'd start screaming.
That's crazy.
And the youth pastor came over to hang out one day, and he wanted to hear the goat because he'd heard all the stories. And so he went on the back porch and didn't hear nothing. I said, "Watch this." I got up off the couch. I crossed my foot across the threshold.
That's insane.
Wow.
So the goat, it was like personal with me and the goat.
Yeah.
So I go home for Christmas. I come back, and Merry Christmas to me. The goat has disappeared over Christmas break.
Praise God.
Problem, though, is that now they've bought chickens. And the rooster is crowing and waking me up in the morning
My
And
God.
like I'm waking up in the morning, they're so anyway, but there's whispers around. We lived like in a little cul-de-sac, and there's whispers around the town of what happened to the goat because everyone knows is that they had a really big pot out there, and then no one saw the goat again.
Wow.
And like I said, the neighbors a little creepy to us. So before I go on, I forgot an important detail, which is there was one conversation where I sat the roommates down. We had a semi-joking but semi-serious conversation about whether it was worth it to pool our resources to buy the goat and have it removed. Like, how much could it cost to buy this goat off of this family? Can we pool our resources and make it happen?
Yeah.
I know
My
budgets are
God.
thin. We're at Bible school. We don't all have jobs. Maybe we could throw enough together to get rid of the goat. But anyway, so we hear these rumors. My roommate Nathan takes a job working at Subway.
Shout out Nathan.
While he is working at the Subway, he happens to be working with the girl whose father is our neighbor's landlord. He tells the girl about the strange neighbors and the goat, and she says, no, you don't understand. I've gone with my dad to pick up the rent and gone inside the house, and they had pentagrams on the wall.
Oh, no.
And so we think that the goat may have been sacrificed to the devil.
That's crazy.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, mind you, but still.
God.
But still, it's entirely possible that the goat that hated me may have been sacrificed to the Prince of Lies.
Yeah.
My God.
Probably those chickens, too.
And is there a chance that you brought this upon the goat?
I mean, I'm not trying to glorify Satan in anything, you know. I mean, like I said, is there a world where I could have made the goat disappear and no one ever? It would have been temptation. I'm not saying I'd have done it, but I'd have thought about it.
Oh, that's
hilarious. I murdered the goat in my heart, according to Matthew chapter 6. So.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
I'm glad we squeezed that one in. That was definitely worth it.
Yeah, goat story, top 5 Fulcher stories.
No doubt.
We got to have them on another time. Tell
we'll
more.
try to do it again. For sure.
It's been fun.
We'll listen to your request and get my grandpa in here and get him to tell some stories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, well, thank you for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
It was fun.
Thank you.
Yep, it was a good time. We got to talk about some food, some funny stories,
Some sports.
a little bit of music.
Yeah.
So, I'll let you close it out if you want, Johan.
Yeah. With a prayer.
All glory to God.
Yeah, all glory to God. Make sure y'all come to church on Friday night or else the devil will get you. So we'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace.